Check, please.
Hey, welcome back. I know how you're feeling out there. I'm feeling it too. It's a crazy world out there. The stocks are down. The market is down. There is fear. There is FUD. There is war. A lot of chaos going on. We're going to talk about our thoughts on the market this month. January was bad. February was bad. Where are we going? And where should we be investing our money? Paul and Mo will guide us. They own over $100 million in assets, and I love hearing from these wealthier guys about what I can do and my mindset moving forward in a scary time. Paul, fondle me, guide me, please help me.
Man, February was a doozy. There were, listen, full disclosure, when we were on the trip, coming back from Switzerland, that day, I opened the day at $200,000 in profit. I finished the day down $300,000 in loss. So $500,000 swing. Most started the day down $385,000 and finished only down $5,000. Now, I have a big NASDAQ short right now going. So the last 2 months have been very lucrative for me, right? Since January 5th, when I converted my short from S&P to NASDAQ, because I think the NASDAQ's more overpriced, it's killed it. Now, February, according to my data provider, in February, I look at the NASDAQ now a lot, including dividends. The NASDAQ lost 3.3% in February. That's a big month. That's a lot to lose. I mean, extrapolate that out, that's 40% a year. Because every single, actually more than that if you compound it. Guys, Russia happened. Overvaluation happened. Has been going on. Now, what I want everybody to realize is when there's overvaluation, the bad news will hurt them even more. That's why I converted my short from an S&P short to NASDAQ 100 short, because the NASDAQ 100 stocks are far more overpriced than the S&P 500 in total. Okay? And when you have this volatility, that's what's going to... I mean, how many days did we have that were... Literally, we were joking, Mo. One day, coming back, we started the day, the NASDAQ was down 3.5%. It finished up 3.3%. That's a 6.8% swing in one trading day.
Like 8 hours.
Guys, that's unreasonable. Yeah. That is not a normal thing. That should not happen.
Nope.
That is crazy. So February, to me, showed the market is not on solid footing. That, to me, was an indication. Now, with that said, we lost 40% 2 years ago in 1 month, and I thought this was the start. That was the start of something, and then the markets ended up just rallying like crazy for the next 2 years. But I look at all this saying, Warren Buffett's annual report just came out. They're saying $140 billion in cash. He goes, I have nothing to buy in stocks. Okay, great. But we always question why I'm being conservative. I'm being conservative. I don't believe there's such a thing as being conservative. I just think there's a rational way of looking at business. You look at business the way you look at life. Business will be better 10 years from now than today in all likelihood, but there's still going to be hurdles along the way. And I'm just asking you to exhibit some caution, learn how to invest with us, learn with our community, learn how to invest, and go find 20 to 40 companies that fit your criteria with a portion of your money. The rest of it should go to low-cost ETFs. And if you're in low-cost ETFs, don't worry about month-to-month what's happening. Like this video, it's a great video just to understand, but you shouldn't care. If you're 30 years old and saving for retirement, what does it matter to you how February was? What does it matter to you how 2022 was? It shouldn't matter to you. All that matters to you is when you're 65 or 70 ready to retire, that's when it should matter to you. As you're getting up there, alter the way you invest because you don't want to be as much in the stocks, etc. But the bottom line is, I've been saying market's been overpriced for 5 years now, and I've been looking wrong this entire time. I'm fine with that. But the best investors in the world agree with me with their money. Look at what they do, not what they say. And Warren Buffett's sitting on the sideline with $100+ billion in cash.
Why is he doing that?
Because he has nothing to buy. It's very difficult market out there. Oh, he's old. He doesn't get it. Okay. To me, he's old and gets it even more.
Yep.
He's been around.
He's seen it. He's seen the ups. He's seen the downs.
Munger said recently, months and months ago, that they've never seen a harder market than they see today. Mm-hmm. And the guy's 98 years old.
You know what's my favorite part? So everybody says, who's your favorite investor? And I'm like, by default, it has to be Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett because, guys, look how lucky we are. If you believe in this, you literally have a track record of somebody's entire investing career.
Their whole life.
Going back and look at. That is incredible. You don't usually get that. That's amazing to me. So by default, just go and look at their history. Today I was reading the 1962 annual report that Warren Buffett wrote. It's incredible just seeing how consistent he is. But he's saying the same things back then, same fundamentals and principles that he's saying now. And it's worked for him for a very long time.
So a lot of our viewers, Paul, they don't have the comfort of sitting and waiting and sitting on cash like you or maybe Charlie.
That's why dollar cost averaging and low cost ETFs is the way to go.
This is the number one question we always get. But Paul, you're saying things could get really bad.
Yep.
Why would I be putting money in?
No, I'm not saying things could get really bad. Things will get very bad.
I see. It's even scarier when you say it like that, of course.
Well, it will, and that doesn't mean I'm not optimistic. Because guess what? In 08 and 09, I have the emails to prove it. I was the only good phone call my guys at Merrill had, and my accountant and state lawyer kept telling me, like, man, you're so big on the market. I'm like, yeah, because we're at all-time lows here in the last 10 years. Well, not all time, but we were at huge lows. I'm like, this makes perfect sense to me for me to buy. And there'll be a time that happens again. There'll be a time when the viewers out there are saying, gee, Paul, you say buy every stock and they don't go up. Okay. Yes, that's correct. I blew Seth's mind with it when I said, as a value investor, I will always be perceived to be wrong.
Yes.
Because when things are very good, I'll say don't buy. When things are very bad and look the worst, I'll say buy. Either way, everybody's going to disagree with me. And that's the point of being a value investor. It takes a certain arrogance in a way.
Confidence.
Right? It gets confidence of saying, listen, I understand cash flow. But you shouldn't worry about it. Dollar cost average every month, and you'll wake up 30 years from now a very, very wealthy person. Like, my good friend Matt, one of our good friends, he's my chess coach, and we've become very good friends. The other day, he said something. He was asking me about shorting the market, why I do it, et cetera. And then I said to him, you know, Matt, this is why you invest. You buy, eat low-cost ETFs, and in the future, they'll go up. He's like, I hope. I said, no, I know. He goes, yeah, you're right. I'm like, I don't even question it. The U.S. and the economy and the stock market will be way better 30, 40 years from now than it is today. Okay? That's the point. My
final question is, now that a lot of these high-flying growth stocks have plummeted.
Oh, it's not even done yet. We're not done yet.
Well, then even more so. I get this question in the chat all the time, Paul, is do I hang on or do I let go?
Every time you look at an investment, you're assessing it right then and there. Do I want to own the stock or not? If it's slightly overpriced, but you like the company, stick on to it. Stick with it. If they're growing their profit, their fundamentals, et cetera. But if you only bought it so the stock price could go up, you could ride that, and it doesn't make sense fundamentally anymore, what are you doing?
Hoping? Hoping.
If you're hoping, it's like my chess coach says, we don't play hope chess. We don't hope they make a mistake. You play the best chess you can, and if they make a mistake, you jump on it. That is the point of investing too. You make the best decisions possible, and some things will fall in your favor and some things won't. But if you invest only with the basis of everything's got to go in my favor, you're going to end up hurt.
Yeah. Remember, if you bought a company because you believed in the fundamentals of the company, still remember that stock price is public perception. It's a voting machine right there. So just because it's getting crushed doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Now, if the fundamentals don't support it, different story.
So Seth said, Paul, it's a great investment. I always tell people, investing is like everything in life. Chess, sports, everything. And just so like in sports, and I'll talk about sports because sports is so, everybody plays sports. We don't trade a player because they strike out. We don't trade a player because they miss a couple basketball shots. You look at the long term of the player. Do they have the right process? So I look at that saying, now, if you have 1 million fans out there, somebody will pull that off. Does that make that fan who pulls it off because of luck the best shooter of all time? No, because Steph Curry does it day in, day out. He'll miss a few. He'll have off games. It's so funny. The friends of mine who think that Michael Jordan's the best ever, they literally don't think Michael Jordan ever had a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
But then you watch The Last Dance, and they talked about all these bad games he had when the other teammates had to like lift him up. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. But if you go pay some kid who hits 10 shots in a row, $20 million a year because he hit 10 shots in a row without proving it.
Bad investment.
That's a bad investment. No different here with investing. It's process, guys. Chess is process. You got to be patient. You got to sit there and learn the right fundamentals and don't play hope investing.
Damn, that's hard, Paul. I hear you with that chess analogy. Like, I just have to keep making the best play. And if they make a mistake, I pounce on it. If the market makes a mistake, we jump on it.
Yep. And the market's always making mistakes. I think the mistake the market is making now is they're overpaying for value. Intrinsic value and price are very different. Here's price, here's intrinsic value. There'll be a time when it shifts. And that's when you need to be all in. That's when you need to be aggressive.
Yep.
And guess what? Your friends will tell. I remember in 2003, June of 2003, somebody knew I was doing investing in stocks. They're like, why would you invest in stocks? All you get is like 2 or 4% returns a year. Go look what happened in June of 2003. Yeah, it was June 2003 because I was doing my job training for the only real job I had in this world. June 2003, I was in Dallas, Texas for job training, and this this person in my group said, why would you invest in stocks? All you guys 2 or 4% a year. And I was just like, I didn't understand back then that was an indicator of the market sentiment at that time.
I forgot your first job was adult movie fluffer.
It was. That's how we met, Seth.
That's awkward.
So if you want to be a really good adult movie fluffer, please watch the following pitch on our software.
If these value investing concepts speak to you, you can join the Everything Money community. You can get the software behind Paul, and you can have all this in the palm of your hands. By joining the community, you'll be joining thousands of people all over the world who speak and communicate just like you on these topics. We help each other. We work together. We day trade. It's incredible. You get the software, you get the data, and all the amazing tools that are coming out in the future. Go to everythingmoney.com or patreon.com/everythingmoney and join today. Yeah, so in the end, we'll certainly update you on this. It's a crazy ride out there, but I see normal people starting to panic a bit. I see them, oddly enough, just on Facebook Marketplace. It's ramping up. People are getting rid of things. Prices on some things are going down. I'm just seeing it. I'm seeing people sell.
Really?
I see people sell Cadillacs. I see people selling my Magic cards. Some of the groups I'm in.
Unemployment's like 3.9. What is unemployment at right now? 3.9, 4%?
It definitely is scary. I mean, war in general is scary. The future is scary.
Can we repeat? How are we witnessing an invasion of a country? I just still don't get this concept. I'll repeat it till I'm blue in the face. They're on the ground with troops.
Yeah, and sadly, there's death on both sides. Unfortunately, it's not. Hopefully,
I think it's a lot more civilians on the Ukrainian side than the Russian side, unfortunately. And and people are saying, it's funny. So I have this NASDAQ short.
Yeah.
Okay. So what this means, guys, is I'm betting for the NASDAQ to go down. Now we write covered calls on stocks. When you're shorting a stock, you can write what's called a covered put, which basically gives me income to see if the stock will fall a certain level. So as an example, let me pull up a notepad, a clear screen, so I can explain this a little bit more. And I want you guys to understand what I'm doing. So let's say the NASDAQ's at 344, the QQQ is at 344, and I have a short on there. I might sell some of the option for this Friday for 330. So as long as they might pay me $1 per share. So as long as the NASDAQ QQQ stays above 330, I keep the dollar anyhow. Mm-hmm. But if it goes below 330, I lose out on all the gains below 330.
Because you're shorting.
Because I'm shorting. So they get all the gains. The person who bought this option from me, they get all the gains. Now you might sit there and say, yeah, but you still made a lot of money. However, I worry about Putin. Mm-hmm. The things I keep hearing about him, he is capable of doing things that you might sit there and say, there's no way he would do that. And then he does it. I'm not willing to enter that put anymore. Because I'm worried he might set off a nuclear weapon. If he sets off a nuclear weapon, you better believe it'll wreak havoc. Tim, our CEO, said, do you think it's going to happen? And do you think in the next 50 years somebody will do it? Probably. But my thing is, I don't want to have that bet in place that loses me money because Putin did something that everybody thought was completely not likely. Like, oh no, he's not going to set off. Now, do I believe the U.S. has enough intelligence operatives out there to stop that? I do think that. Now, maybe I'm naive, but man, if that guy goes rogue, he does something bad, it'll wreak havoc in the markets. But again, you will be here to listen to the videos and understand that. Look at all the things we've gone through. The stock market has gone through two nuclear bombs going off in the 1940s.
Yeah. 2
of them within 2 months, 3 months of each other. I don't even know how close they were to each other. We've had domestic terrorism. We've had international terrorism. We've had every possible depressions. We've had recessions. We've had We've had everything bad happen. And this is the stock market of the last 150 years. Okay? So your goal will be to take yourself out of the moment, out of what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that I'm not still smart about my investing along the way. All my stocks that I own 13 companies right now. And guess what? They will all fall drastically if something like that happens. But my biggest position right now is my short of the NASDAQ. So I'm being cautious about selling my puts because I don't want to lose out on some rogue event that happens that this crazy guy in Russia is able to pull off. I mean, I literally didn't even think he was going to attack Ukraine. Did you? I mean, maybe I'm just stupid.
I've been hearing more news reports come out. I've been hearing that he's been setting this up for a while with anti-sentiment against them, against NATO and them joining. But in essence, Paul, I want to be very clear, obviously, is your thought process is not if a catastrophic event happens in the world with tons of human loss, you're worried about your QQQ put. But in general,
well, that's going to
theoretically, we'll be alive for many, many years to come, and we still need to keep making the best decisions we can.
So remember, that's going to happen. It's still my job to be an astute investor for the people who trust me, no matter what happens in the world. Okay. If you think that sounded callous, I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to sound that way. What it meant to sound was like, I have an investment out there, and my job is to protect that investment and to look at what's happening in the world and say, how can I protect myself? To me, with how irrational this guy is out there and the fact that he is so psychotic, he might actually do crazy things, I still need to protect myself in certain ways. Okay? That's what I'm doing.
And me too. I mean, right? And all of us, right? Our families. I mean, yeah, we're all in the same boat here. So
yeah, and
so do you expect things to tighten up with what you just said? I mean, are we seeing that tightening up on trading?
In what way?
I mean, this hesitation and this fear.
Yes. I hate to say this, but it seems I texted Paul and Mikey this morning and I said, it's the last 24, 36 hours have seemed pretty calm. And from the irrationality that we've been seeing out of Putin, I hope this isn't the calm before the storm. That's what I hope is not the case. So for me, like going into trades, I've still been a little bit timid. I don't want that. We've calmed down. I don't want this crazy something happen, and then we see this volatility, and then, I'm caught with my pants down. That's what I don't want. So I will say I am still timid right now about getting into trades.
If I can't stand the heat, Paul, should I just?
You can't. If you're do what I'm doing. If you're too worried about this, and I wouldn't touch any of your ETFs, any of your long-based, low-cost ETFs. But if you have 10 or 20% of your money that you invest individually, and you're worried about Putin and Ukraine, it's not selfish to sit there and say, I'm taking money off the table. I took money off the table there. I could have gotten literally tens of thousands of dollars this week by selling those puts, and I'm taking money off the table saying I'm willing to sacrifice that because I don't know about this crazy guy and what he'll do to people he doesn't care for.
I will say my family's we have a position in Bristol Myers. We have half of our position that's going to be sold on Friday at very aggressive put prices.
Oh, you did?
Because we want to it's getting to levels of that we want to sell at anyways. Plus, this is being coupled with it. It's time to move on.
We will keep you updated on the market as we go. It is scary out there, I know, for some of you new and possibly inexperienced investors. And we're here to fondle and guide you along amongst this chaos. We hopefully could be your lifeline to some sound thought process moving forward. So, Paul, you've definitely been my lifeline to a lot of great decisions in my life. And so I'm sure our viewers are thinking the same.
And I do want to reiterate one more thing. Seth brought up a good point. I'm not trying to sit there and say that I want to profit off anybody's misfortune. Not at all. What I'm trying to sit there and say is what's going to happen in the world is what's going to happen in the world no matter what my portfolio is. My job as an investor is to look at the situation and make a decision based on the information I see. This wasn't even my sphere of thought even a month ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't even there. But I'm now sitting there saying, wait a second. I'm actually taking less greed. I'm going, you know what? I don't need more money. I'd rather just protect myself on that potential downside risk. That's all I'm doing. But just like in The Big Short, those guys were all high-fiving. The guy said, hey, listen, people are going to lose jobs. He was right. But at the same time, that was going to happen either way. Yeah. So my job is to watch out for myself. I'm not causing Putin to go invade Ukraine. I'm not causing any of these to happen. I'm just reacting to the possibilities of a very crazy dictator. I mean, he gets elected.
Basically a dictator right now.
Basically a dictator out there. That's all I'm trying to do here.
That's our take. Make sure you click the subscribe, fondle the thumbs up, watch more videos. We're happy to have you along for the ride. See you next video.